I want you to imagine something, a world without darkness. Not a world where we treat blindness or where we manage it, but a world where it's just over, gone, where sight isn't just something you hope to restore, it's something you can manufacture on demand. And look, this isn't some dream from 100 years in the future. The blueprints are being drawn up, the materials are literally being mixed, and the final product, it's being printed, right now, in labs all over the world.
So this quote from Filippo Nicetti at the Italian research studio MHOX, it absolutely nails the heart of this revolution. We are standing on the brink of a massive shift in what it even means to be human. For all of history, medicine has had one basic job: repair, fix what's broken. But right now, we are stepping into an entirely new era, the era of replacement. And once you can replace a part of the human body, it's a surprisingly, and maybe even an alarmingly, short leap to enhancement. The goal isn't just to get someone back to normal anymore. It's to offer them something fundamentally better.
And this is the real question, isn't it? The one we really have to wrestle with. Because the exact same technology that can print a perfect organic replacement for a damaged eye could, with just a few little tweaks in the code, print a superior one. I'm talking about an eye that sees farther, sharper, or maybe even sees in wavelengths of light that nature never ever intended for us. But to really get where this road is taking us, we have to start with the problem itself. And it's a monumental one.
Yeah, before we get to things like Wi-Fi-enabled eyes and biological upgrades, we have got to talk about the global supply chain for human sight. And the honest-to-God truth is, that system is fundamentally catastrophically broken. The modern miracle that is a corneal transplant, a procedure we've had for more than half a century, well, for the vast majority of people on this planet who need it, that miracle is completely out of reach.
This number, it says everything. For every 70 people in the world who need a corneal transplant to save their sight, there is only one donor cornea available. And this isn't just about a lack of donors, it's a logistical nightmare. A crisis of infrastructure, of preservation, of standards. I mean, even when people generously donate, only a tiny fraction of those corneas are actually usable. You've got strict rules about age, health, and this impossibly critical time window between death and preservation. This massive crushing bottleneck is the crisis that forced science to just give up on small fixes and start looking for a solution so radical it borders on science fiction.
Okay, so let's really dive into this problem, because what we're talking about here is a global health crisis that's kind of hiding in plain sight. The scale of it is almost impossible to wrap your head around, and it's the very reason that our traditional solutions, as life-changing as they are for the lucky few, they just can't keep up. The human demand for sight has completely, utterly overwhelmed the supply.
The sheer scale of this is just staggering. I mean, if we just look at the cornea, that clear outer window of the eye, we're talking about 10 to 12 million people living in darkness because of it. Another 5 million are blind from corneal scarring, from burns, injuries, or infections. But the problem is so much bigger than that. When you zoom out, you find an estimated 285 million people around the world have some kind of visual impairment. And for them, the most common causes of permanent vision loss, well, they go much deeper than the cornea. We're talking about devastating diseases like glaucoma, which destroys the optic nerve, macular degeneration, which wipes out your central vision, and diabetic retinopathy. These are all conditions that, until right now, medicine had absolutely no way to reverse.
So the first, most logical place to start this whole revolution was the cornea. It's the eye's front line, its protective window on the world. The thinking was, if we could just manufacture that one part, we could solve that 1 in 70 crisis almost overnight. The idea was beautifully simple. If you can't get enough organs from people, why not just print new ones from scratch? And the technology to do it is called 3D bioprinting.
Now, the absolute key to this whole thing is a revolutionary material called bioink. This is nothing like the plastic you'd see in a regular 3D printer. This is a super specialized hydrogel. It's like a biological soup designed for one purpose and one purpose only, to keep living cells alive while you print them. So scientists take human stem cells and mix them into this supporting scaffold made of stuff like collagen and alginate. The big challenge, which Professor Che Conan at Newcastle University cracked, was getting the texture just right. The ink had to be stiff enough to hold that perfect curved cornea shape after it was printed, but it also had to be soft enough to squeeze through the printer's tiny nozzle without killing the precious cells inside. It was an incredible bioengineering puzzle to solve. And this is the blueprint they pioneered over at Newcastle. First, they take human corneal stromal cells from a healthy donor cornea. And here's where the real magic of scale comes in. From just one single donor eye, they can grow enough cells to print hundreds of new corneas. It's amazing. Next, they carefully mix those cells into their special bioink. Then, using a surprisingly simple, low-cost 3D bioprinter, they squeeze out this living ink in a series of perfect concentric circles, following a digital map of a human cornea. The whole printing process, it takes less than 10 minutes. And when it's done, the cells are alive, they're held perfectly in their new home by that gel scaffold, and they immediately get to work, growing into a brand new, living, transparent cornea.
The speed at which this technology went from a wild idea in a lab to a life-changing reality is just breathtaking. So in 2018, Professor Conan's team announces they've done it, the world's first lab print. It was a massive proof of concept. Just 7 years later, in October of 2025, a biotech company called Precise Bio takes that concept and implants it into a human being for the first time. At the Rambam Healthcare campus in Israel, they performed the world's first ever transplant of a fully bioprinted cornea. And it worked. A 78-year-old man, legally blind for years, got his vision back. This wasn't some partial fix or a temporary patch. This was a full biological replacement, grown in a lab and seamlessly integrated into a human body.
And for a minute there, it really felt like the biggest hurdle was cleared. You know, that 1 in 70 problem now had a real scalable solution. But the cornea, as important as it is just the window. It's the part that lets the light in, but it doesn't process it. It doesn't create the image you see. The much harder, much more complex challenge, that lay deeper inside the eye, in the delicate, intricate machinery that actually creates the phenomenon we call sight.
So this brings us to the real biological marvels of the eye. If you think of the cornea as the lens on a camera, then the retina is the sensor. It's the biological film that captures the image of the world. And the optic nerve? That's the wire, the high-speed data cable that shoots all that visual information to your brain for processing. So printing a clear window is one thing. Printing a living supercomputer and the cable you need to connect it, well, that is a whole other level of difficulty.
If you want to build a retina, you have to start at its absolute foundation, and that foundation is a single, critical layer of cells called the retinal pigment epithelium, or RPE. The easiest way to think about these cells is as the life support system for your photoreceptors, you know, the famous rods and cones that actually detect light. The RPE layer's job is to bring in nutrients from the blood, ship out all the cellular waste, and constantly recycle worn-out parts. In diseases like age-related macular degeneration, or AMD, these vital RPE cells just start to die off. And when that life support system goes down, the photoreceptors starve and die right along with them, leading to a slow, irreversible slide into blindness.
So here's the crucial thing. You can't just print a random blob of these RPE cells and hope it works. For them to function, they have to be organized with military-like precision. They have a distinct top and a bottom, a biological polarity. The top side has to face the photoreceptors it's supporting, and the bottom side has to face the blood supply it needs to draw from. If you get that orientation wrong, the whole system just fails. And that meant that before anyone could even dream of printing a functional retina, they first needed a perfect, data-driven blueprint of what a healthy one looked like.
And this is exactly where the U.S. National Eye Institute, the NEI, made a massive leap forward. A team led by Dr. Kapil Bharti developed what they call a digital twin. For decades, we studied eye disease using animals, but a mouse retina is not a human retina. So the NEI team tried something different. They used something called induced pluripotent stem cells, or iPSCs. These are amazing because you can generate them directly from a patient's own skin cells. This is a huge deal. It means you can create patient-specific cells to study diseases and test drugs without any ethical issues. So they grew these iPSCs into RPE cells in a dish. Then they imaged 1.3 million of them with an automated microscope. All that data was fed into an AI, which then built a perfect 3D data-driven model of a healthy RPE cell right down to the subcellular level. This digital twin gives them a perfect reference. They can now take a patient's disease cells, print them, compare them to the perfect model, and then test thousands of potential drugs on that printed tissue to see which one brings it back to that perfect, healthy structure.
Okay, so now we've got a printed window, the cornea, and we've got a blueprint for a printed sensor, the retina. We have the technology to manufacture the core parts of sight, but it is all completely worthless if you can't connect them. And that brings us to what's been called the holy grail of regenerative medicine, the single biggest biological hurdle in curing blindness, the optic nerve.
All right, let's talk about the moonshot, because the challenge of reconnecting an entire eye to a human brain is so massive, so profound, that it required a government-level Manhattan Project kind of investment and focus. We're not talking about small, incremental steps anymore. This is about taking on a problem that for the entire history of medicine has been considered completely and utterly unsolvable.
This quote from Dr. Renee Vigran, the director of ARPA-H, it just perfectly captures the insane ambition here. ARPA-H is the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health, a U.S. government agency designed specifically to fund the high-risk, high-reward breakthroughs that everybody else thinks are impossible. Their program is called THEA, which stands for Transplantation of Human Eye Allografts, and its goal is as simple as it is audacious: make whole eye transplantation a reality. With up to $125 million in funding, THEA is attacking the three big challenges all at once. First, preservation. How in the world do you keep a delicate donor eye alive and healthy outside the body? The University of Miami is working on what is basically an eye ECMO machine to do just that. Second, the surgery itself. We're talking about microsurgical techniques on a scale that's never been seen before, reconnecting these tiny, tiny blood vessels and muscles. But the biggest piece of the pie, the central mission, the whole ballgame, is regenerating the optic nerve.
See, the optic nerve isn't just one wire. It's this massive data cable made of over 1 million individual nerve fibers, or axons. And here's the massive problem. In adult humans, once that cable is cut, it's cut for good. Our bodies just forgot how to regrow it. So how do you solve the unsolvable? Well, this is where 3D printing comes back into the story, but in a totally new and ingenious way. A company called Ingel Therapeutics, which is funded by THEA, is developing 3D printed scaffolds. Think of them as a biological bridge, or like a guide rail for nerve growth. These tiny microtunnel gel structures are printed, they're filled with stem cells, and then they're placed to physically connect the severed nerve ends of the new eye and the host's brain. The scaffold gives the physical path, and the stem cells inside provide the chemical signals, basically telling the axons, hey, grow this way, and guiding them across the gap to finally make that connection.
But while this enormous biological effort was getting underway, another group of scientists was coming at this from a completely different direction. It was a parallel track, running on a totally different philosophy. Instead of trying to heal and regrow biology, this other team was focused on replacing it entirely with something better, something engineered from the ground up.
And this sets up one of the most fascinating conflicts in modern science. On one side, you have the biologists, patiently trying to coax cells to regrow and repair what was lost. And on the other, you have the engineers, working with silver inks and semiconducting polymers. It is a race between regeneration and invention, between healing and replacing.
This is Professor Michael McAlpine at the University of Minnesota, and his work is the perfect example of this engineering-first approach. He and his team looked at the eye not as a biological organ to be healed, but as an image sensor to be built, and they realized that the unique power of 3D printing gave them a way to build one that nature never could.
You know, all traditional electronics are built on these perfectly flat silicon wafers. The great unsolved challenge has always been how to print working electronics onto a curved surface. Well, McAlpine's team built a custom 3D printer just to solve that problem. They start with a glass dome shaped like an eye. The printer first puts down a base ink made of silver particles for all the wiring. The ink is specially made so it stays put and doesn't just run down the curve. Then, in a second pass, it prints photodiodes. Those are the tiny devices that turn light into electricity using semiconducting polymers. The result is a hemispherical image sensor printed from scratch that can convert light to electricity with an incredible 25% efficiency, which is actually better than a lot of existing tech. It is the working prototype for a true bionic eye.
So here you have it, the two grand projects, side by side. It's a real clash of titans. The THEA program is using human cells to heal and regenerate a natural biological system. Their biggest challenge is that monumental task of coaxing 1 million nerves to reconnect. The team at the University of Minnesota, they're using polymers and silver to replace that system entirely with an artificial one. Their challenge is to cram in more light receptors and make the thing more power efficient. It's a fundamental split in how we approach science. Do we fix the human machine, or do we build a better one?
And this brings us right back to where we started. We kicked this off with the question of not just curing blindness, but upgrading it. Now that we've seen the tech, the proven ability to print living tissue, and the emerging ability to print working electronics right onto an eye, that question is not hypothetical anymore. The tools for human enhancement are being assembled piece by piece as we speak. The convergence of these two paths, the biological and the bionic, it creates a whole new reality. We have proven we can print corneas. We're on the verge of printing retinas and regenerating optic nerves. And we have shown we can print artificial light sensors onto an eye-shaped surface. So the point is, the technical barriers are just falling, one by one. The questions that are left are no longer purely scientific. They're philosophical. They're ethical. What do we as a species do with this unbelievable power? That Italian research studio, MOX, they've actually mapped out where this tech could go, and it is a wild glimpse into a possible future, maybe as early as 2027. They propose 3 models. First, EyeHeal, a simple bioprinted replacement that gives you standard 20/20 vision. That's the goal of medicine today. But then there's EyeEnhance. This version improves your vision beyond 20/20, and by taking a special pill, you could activate enzymes in the printed eye to create custom visual filters, like seeing the world in sepia or black and white. And finally, EyeAdvance. This model builds a Wi-Fi chip right into the eye. It would let you record everything you see and download it. You could literally become a walking, talking, high-definition camera.
And this is the question we're left with. We started this journey with a desperate medical need, a world with millions of people in darkness and a broken system that couldn't help them. The solution, 3D printing, has unlocked a future that's so much more complex, so much more profound than just curing a disease. It has put the very architecture of human perception on the design table. So as this technology moves from the lab into the clinic, the choice won't just belong to scientists anymore. It's going to belong to all of us. When the ability to manufacture sight is finally in our hands, what kind of world will we choose to build with it? What will we choose to see?